Hello and welcome to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about with growth comes growing pains.
So the big question is this: how are parents like us, who don't have a manual, who are doing the best we can, who feel as though we aren't enough, how are we going to raise healthy, happy children who we are proud of and still keep our sanity in that process? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Ryan Roy, and welcome to I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, a podcast for parents who are being real with themselves.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about with growth, there comes growing pains. Now, all of you, if you're listening to this at some point, had a growing pain. You may not have recognized it. You may not have actually known what it was at the time. When I think about growing pains, I think about my adolescence. I think about someone, myself, who was an athlete. And I remember the first time I really experienced growing pains. I was out on a football field. I was running around. And of all places, there was a pain in my ass. Right in my buttocks, this sharp shooting pain. I had a hard time playing that day, running. I remember getting home and sharing with my mom, like, I got this weird pain. And she goes, well, you may not be recognizing it, but I recognize it because I have to buy you more clothes. But you are growing, and those are what's called growing pains. But see, just like life, just like physically growing up, as we grow up in this thing called parenting, and as you're going along with me, as you are experiencing challenges and growing pains of your own, I'm experiencing them, whether they're here at home, whether they're in my relationship with my wife, whether they're in relationships outside, whether they're relationships with my clients, great relationship in my business. Like, we all have growth and growing pains, and a lot of people sustain the pain and actually grow, and some people avoid. And we try to fix things with Band-Aids as opposed to really deep diving. You know, what is it that brought this on? You know, I've shared with you in a couple previous podcasts about my FBI Dads program. Again, fathers being involved. And with this program that went from 6 dads showing up at the first breakfast a little over 2 years ago, and here we are at breakfast number 15 is coming up this week. Since I've done it, we've done 6 a year the last 2 years, and we're on the 3rd one so far this school year. There have been some growing pains, right? Went from 6 dads to 170 dads in 2 years, and those are the dads just showing up to the breakfast. And we have a list of dads at the school of over 400. And it seems like every week as this grows, more and more dads are coming out of the woodworks. I literally just received a phone call from a dad who was like, I'm new to the school. We've been here less than 2 weeks. I want to get involved. And I heard FBI dads, fathers being involved is the way to go. And somebody gave me your number. So I explained how he could get involved. And I invited him to his very first dad's breakfast here in a couple days. But the growth, right? When people don't understand the vision, right? We can't share everybody. Everybody sees things from their own perspective. Some people will find negative in anything positive that is trying to be accomplished. And this terminology of unintended consequences keeps coming up in my world. And I start thinking to myself, you may think it's an unintended consequence, like not everybody being able to participate because some people just don't have fathers. And when I call it fathers being involved, some people are like, I say any positive male role model, are like, yeah, but that's not his father. That's the biggest challenge that is faced in society today, in my opinion, is the lack of relationship between father and child. And here I am, somebody trying to make sure that there's a space at school, right? Kids spend 6-7 hours a day there, pretty important. There's no space there for dads to really get involved, or at least there hadn't been in my experience. And I've helped create that at my son's school. And people are telling me that, hey, why can't moms come to the dad's breakfast? Because last time I checked, mom is not a dad. And they're like, well, I play both roles. And I understand, and there's plenty of opportunity for you to do that. But the idea, listen to this, with growth, there's growing pains. And I don't know jack about parenting, but I know this. I'm a man. And if there's something specific for me to show up to, I will show up. But the moment that they say mom or dad can show up or moms are invited, every dad says, hey, babe, I got a business meeting. I got to go to the business meeting and I just can't make it. Can you go in my place? And then it ends up being another venue and another space for moms to get involved. Again, relinquishing the fact that dads, the biggest problem are dads aren't involved. So now we have a space for dads to get involved, and moms are going and saying, hey, why can't it be females being involved? Why can't F stand for that? Because it's a dad's group, because there's a problem in our society today. And the interesting fact is not too long ago, I didn't have anybody showing up to these events. And now that there's a buzz, people want to find fault in it. People want to include themselves that don't necessarily belong, right? It's not that they don't belong. It's just this is not their thing. So just know in your own parenting journey, like I don't know jack about parenting, and the whole reason I started this podcast to begin with is because I experience growing pains every day. As my children grow and give me new experiences, I am challenged in how to respond. That's why I listen to other podcasts. That's why I read books. That's why I do this, so I get feedback from you guys in the audience so that I hear what you are going through. I read articles about parenting and I go, oh, I remember when that happened, or, oh man, I can wait until I have to face that challenge, right? But with growth, right, we cannot care. Listen, the other option is to not endure growing pains, is to not to grow and not care and just let our kids go off into oblivion and do what they choose. But if you really care as a parent, and I know that I do, and I hope that you do, that's why you listen to these podcasts, there's going to be tons of growing pains in this journey. And the more you listen and the more you know you're not in it alone, and the more that you do for yourself in terms of research or paying attention or reading or Googling or getting advice from doctors or therapists or whatever it may be, parenting experts, the more you do of that, the better off you'll be. Because knowledge is not necessarily power. Applied knowledge is power. So I hope when you listen to these and like, oh man, I could implement that, or I could implement that strategy, that you actually do it. Because knowledge without the application of it is useless. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want to be the dad you wish you had? If so, go get my free book, Be the Dad You Wish You Had, at BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com. Inside, you'll find my most effective 40 tips to quickly and easily transform yourself into the ideal dad. Go to BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com now and get it while it's free.